All my Dorks, Nerds, Geeks, and Gamers, it's your host Ghost here, and you're watching a brand new episode of Dorks Movie Minute. Today we're going to continue on with our Rick and Morty Season 5 episode reviews. We are in episodes 9 and 10. Episode 9 being Forgetting Sarah Mortshell. It's a playing on words of Forgetting Sarah Marshall, a story about someone leaving someone and then him trying to get over them leaving. Very much the same story here, but with the Rick and Morty characters. This story starts off with Morty going through these different dimensions and clearing up problems that Rick caused for whatever reason. I never really understood the first part of the episode. I didn't know if it was Morty kind of doing his own thing with the portal gun, or if it was him cleaning up Rick's mess with the portal gun. But for whatever reason, Morty's going through these portals. He's cleaning up Rick's old messes and kind of clearing the air between all these different dimensions and aliens. We then cut to him going back to the garage and realizing he used up a little bit more of the portal fluid of the gun than he thought he did. So he tries to fake it and mix some lime juice and some Mountain Dew together to make some portal fluid and put it back in Rick's gun. But he ends up getting some on his hand, which then opens a portal on his hand, which he can't wipe off because at that point it's a portal. So every time he tries to wipe something, it just gets sucked into the portal. But there is someone on the other side, and then stuff is coming through the other side. And we find out that there is a sentient being on the other side, and it's coming from this guy's thigh, who has a portal in his thigh. But apparently this guy's name is Nick, who is connected to Morty through the portal, who also has a portal on him as well. So that's good to know through the episode. But then we find out Rick finds out about Morty using the portal gun, so Rick gets mad and he decides to cut Morty out of the Rick and Morty gig, per se. So he ends up spinning a wheel to find out who is better than Morty. Anyone better than Morty is who he's going to take. And he spins the wheel and he ends up getting two crows. So two crows is now, it's Rick and two crows now is the main theme of the show. He ends up cutting Morty out of the show. Morty teams up with Nick and tries to find out more about this guy at the other end of the portal. Because apparently they both have ties to Rick and they've both been mistreated by Rick, so they both kind of want to get their revenge on Rick. So Morty goes and finds out that this Nick guy is actually mentally insane for whatever reason. He's in a mental asylum. Morty decides to break him out because they're connected. They're the only two that have portals on each other and have the only connection like that. So he ends up deciding he's going to break him out and he's going to live with the consequences of whatever that is. At the same time, Rick is training these two crows to do these crazy attacks and to do science experiments and to answer philosophy questions and all these different things. But we also have, but the crows are also teaching Rick in different ways, teaching him about compassion and like human things, like things that humans would teach other humans, but Rick only learns it through crows for whatever reason. Very good episode, very funny, but it's also got a very serious point between the dynamic of Rick and Morty and how they work together and how they don't work together. Because this episode shows they're both having horrible times in their own adventures when they're not together, but they're both still so stubborn that they refuse to get back together just because they'd rather suffer through what they're going through now than to get back together and to make up for it in the way that Rick and Morty would rather do the worst thing than to make it easier on themselves. So yeah, very cool. Rick ends up teaming up with these crows. They go to the crow planet. He meets these sentient crows who try to teach him the way of the crows, that the crows are actually teaching Rick, and he understands it. He becomes enlightened, and he comes to Earth, and he tells Morty that basically, you know what, he's going to stick with the crows. Crows is what he does now, and that's it. Morty's done for good. Morty and Nick end up getting in a fight. Nick ends up turning on Morty. He ends up being crazy. Who knew? He was in a mental asylum, but he does have some connection to Rick that we still don't know or how that actually does tie together. But there is some connection there. But they end up getting in a fight, and he ends up getting Morty pinned by a train track. Morty ends up sticking his portal hand under the train and getting it chopped off, and then throwing his portal hand into the thigh portal of Nick. So then Nick just ends up getting like sucked into his own portal and killing him, like destroying himself completely. But that's the way Morty got out of it, was cutting off his own arm. And I thought it was going to be crazy because I thought it was going to stick to the canon. I thought they were going to actually make this something canon where Morty loses his arm. But no, Rick shows up at the end of the episode, fixes Morty up, and you think they're going to get back together. But no, the episode ends, they do not get back together. Rick decides to stick with the crows and go on crow adventures with them. And Morty is kind of left at home and by himself and ready to be a kid again. And that's where episode 9 ends. I was kind of disappointed that they did decide to do the episode 9 and 10 reveal together, because I think it would have worked stronger if we had a week wait between this episode and then episode 10, so people didn't know if Rick and Morty were going to get back together or not until the finale, which we kind of knew they were eventually, but they definitely play with that idea in this next episode. So moving on to episode 10, this is Rick Mirai Jack, play on words for Samurai Jack. But it plays exactly into episode 9. It is a complete continuation. We start off with a whole brand new opening credits of Rick and Two Crows. It is very anime inspired. They're going around fighting these owls, because apparently the owls and the crows have a millennia of fighting. So Rick's kind of like their fearless leader that fights for the crows and takes down all the owls. But at the same time, Morty keeps showing up with the portal gun that Rick gave him at the end of last episode, because that's how we kind of, as fans, knew that Rick and Morty's adventures were kind of done, is because Rick does give Morty the portal gun and kind of tells him, hey, it's yours now, these are your adventures, you do what you do, and I'm kind of out of it. I'm going to go with these two crows and do my two crow thing, or whatever. So Morty keeps showing up trying to convince him to come home. He keeps denying it over and over again. We find out that the crows are actually cheating on Rick with this scarecrow nemesis that Rick has, and they end up choosing the scarecrow over Rick and leaving Rick himself like he left Morty. So then Rick ends up going back home. He finds out Morty took this aging serum to look like he's 40 to try to guilt trip Rick into coming back home anyway. So Rick's glad he came home. He ends up coming home and he tries to get Morty fixed, but then they get an invite from the president of the Citadel, which is Evil Morty. If you guys all forgot about Evil Morty, it's been a long time since we've seen him in the series, but it's good to have him back. And if you know Evil Morty is showing up in his season finale, you know it's going to be nuts, that some big reveal is going to happen. And let me tell you, we get some huge reveals in this season finale, and I mean huge reveals. We get, in this conversation with President Evil Morty and Rick, we actually get to learn Rick's backstory. We learn about his wife, who did die, who was caused by another Rick, and now Rick is searching down. That's why Rick hates Ricks, because it was another Rick who did end up killing his wife, and now Rick is going after every Rick to find this certain Rick that killed his wife in all these multiverse dimensions. But it's not just that. We find out that the multiverse that Rick and Morty travel in, the reason that everyone thinks Rick is the smartest man in the universe is because Rick made his multiverse to think that Rick is the smartest man in the universe. There is a multiverse out there where Rick is not the smartest man in the universe, and that's what President Evil Morty wants to get to. He wants to get to a world where Rick is not the smartest, where Rick is not the best example of human life, and that's what Evil Morty tries to do. He opens up a black hole, and he decides he's going to go through that black hole to the multiverse where Rick doesn't exist. Well, where Rick exists, but he's not the smartest person in the world. And I assume that's where Doofus Rick comes from, actually, now that I think about it. That would make a whole lot of sense. But so he ends up getting to that other side of the dimension. Rick and Morty end up having to finally team up again together once Morty's back to normal, to kind of booster this ship out of the Citadel to save everyone and to save themselves from getting sucked in this black hole. The episode ends with Evil Morty getting to the other side of the black hole and exiting his ship. And who knows what kind of possibilities Evil Morty has on the other side of a multiverse with no Rick to stop him. So it's going to be very cool to see what Evil Morty's up to and to see what he has planned coming back into the idea. And also, a thing I forgot to do is Evil Morty also hacked every Rick's portal gun to teleport them to a place that will kill them. So every portal gun now in the Rick and Morty universe, I assume, is now hacked and cannot be used at all to travel at all, or else it will kill you. So now it's going to be very interesting to see where they go next season with no portal gun, with Evil Morty still out there and still scheming in a multiverse without Rick, and how will Morty and the family deal with knowing that they live their lives serving Rick in a circle of constant servitude for Rick. So that's going to be very interesting to see where they take this in the next season. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm going to give it a final review score. This is a 10 out of 10 episode. Episode 9 is a 9 out of 10 episode. Very strong finale, especially with the Birdman episode we got last week. These 3 episodes altogether are very canon heavy. Push the story forward very strongly, and I'm very excited that we got all 3 in a row. And I am happy they did do the overall hour-long finale format that they did for this 9 and 10 episode. So yeah, I'm very excited. I cannot wait to see where they go for season 6. But make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share. Leave your comments down below what you guys thought of episode 5 of any episodes. Let me know what you guys thought. And until next time, guys, I've been your host, Ghost. Adios.